home. From a distant land.
There was the war from 1939 to 1945. There happened a lot of cruel things, a lot of horrible things while Hitler was there. And it was death, and that's mean nothing. It was a lot of sufferance and a lot of dictatorship and a lot of cruel things. And so when it finished that, I was thinking we're going to be free and we're going to have a free country. It was not like that. That Stalin did come in and similar things was happening. If anything, might be even worse in some areas. I remember that if you did say that, for example, I don't agree with Stalin's policy, only that little bit if you said, you definitely will go into the long-term jail. And if you did say he's very bad man for this country, he should not be there, he's bad, he's murderers, you will get killed for that. And so then again, when you look at another side, and when I had seen what happened to the everything, where it was first it started with the banks that had been nationalized, afterwards the companies and large employment was nationalized, and then was small people was nationalized, and finally did come including the barber, shoemaker. You just was not allowed to be self-employed. It was against the law to be self-employed. And I said, this is not the place where I want to stay. This is not my future. I don't like to have this as my home for the rest of my life. And so I just made the decision. I will leave the country. I had two friends. We come and spoke together and make the decision that we're going to leave the country, and so we did. Well, at the time of the escape it was very difficult because we often hear about Berlin Wall and how difficult it was escape through the war, or how much the communists did not want to lose their people to run into another country. Up in our place, of course, we never had nothing like Berlin Wall. However, there was the borders, which was guided by the docks, mines, and everything possible that people cannot escape. At the time, if you want to escape, you have to take lots of risks. And if you did escape, and your parents or your brothers, sisters knew about it, and finally come out, they just will go in very hard, long-term jail as well. And so three of us, which we never said to anybody, I mean anybody, not anybody. And we set our mind and we worked our track which way we go. And I think it would be about 15 kilometers, which you had to go through the gullies, through the creeks, through the farms, through everything, over the fences, and so on. And you just go straight as much as you could. You missed the routes, you missed any tracks, and you were very aware that you could be caught, and a lot of people did get caught and suffered badly. Anyway, when we did, so we was pretty lucky to go through the border, and we crossed the border, but it was most difficult to escape from Czech Republic into the Western Wall, because we did head at another southern boundary, did go into Germany. There was American occupation on the other side. So as it was difficult to escape somewhere where was Western Wall, like to USA, we choose to escape somewhere where was still Russian occupation, that was the Austria. Austria at that time had been occupied by the Russians, and we thought it would be easier there. Not too easy, they still guarded it, because there was then Vienna, which we could go to, and Vienna had all four occupations, which was the Russian, American, English, and the French. And so we go on, when we crossed the border, we thought as much, it was, I would say 15 kilometers, still took us 6 hours to do it, so it was still, we was very, very careful and dangerous. And but then when we go to the railway station and want to get a ticket to go into the Vienna, the two of my friends get caught at the railway station, and I was lucky to escape then. And so I was lucky, but I gone later on the station again, tried it, and I was lucky that I was able to get out of there and go to Vienna. Now, because I just lost the two friends, I was very, very uptight, and very worrying too, what will happen on the train. I could not speak English at all, and I could speak very little German. And so I took the ticket and just put him here in a little pocket, and I said, I will pretend I will go to sleep, and when conductor see me that I'm sleeping, he will take the ticket and clip it, and will be everything all right. That was all right, good thinking, yeah, but that one did not work out. And so I did not have second option at the time, did not think, but if I have to talk. However, the conductor did come, and he started talking to me. So I had to open the eyes, and when I opened the eyes, I was just, I'm gone, you know, I'm gone, and did not know just, what do I do now? Just like that. And at once something come to me, but I'm gone, you know, frightened like that. I start pretend I'm deaf and dumb. I say, and give him the ticket. I was lucky that he did accepted it, and that was my savior on the train. Well, certainly it was, because as everything did changed, you know, and communism already was there some years in the Russia, and Stalin was cruel, ruthless, and demanding, setting up his time to stay there very long, because Czech Republic is the center of the Europe as well, and in the heart of the Europe, and so you just did not know this communism will last 50 years, or will it last 100, 150 years, or whatever. And so he was prepared for its wars. He was prepared that you might never see your parents, sisters and brothers ever in your life. And so it was a very difficult decision to be made. But I did not want to stay in this country under the same type of things what I could see under the communism. Well, first few weeks when you escape, you go in specialized little camp, and you stay there not very long, about 10, 11 days. During this 10, 11 days, you've been asked a lot of questions, you get a lot of injections as well, and so on, and you get some food. It was all right. And then finally, after this 11 days, which is pretty short time, if everything is right, and you was lucky to get political refugee acceptance. Yeah. So I did get this card, and for international political refugee, was accepted, and that means that later on you can emigrate. But when you go out, after 11 days, you just out, and you just now nothing, you got not single friend, you just got nothing, you know, nothing where to go, no job, nowhere to sleep, but you got to be out and have the spice again made for the new people coming in. And so I remember I was looking, well, gosh, where do I go sleep now? And there was another camp where was going the people before they emigrate and go on the boats. It was centralized camp, and they come from several different areas into Centrum then. And there was the person which was cleaning the camps and cleaning mainly the surroundings around the camp, gardens, and not garden was not there, but weeds and stuff like that, things like that. And he had a little shack there, what would you call it, garden shed here in Australia, and he had a wheelbarrow and spade and shovels and things like that. And he said, look, all I can help you can sleep in here. Give me a few bags there, and that's where I slept the first few days. But that's all right to sleep, but where do you go to eat? And when I do remember that I been very hungry, and so you go into these kitchens where, or in back of the kitchen, there was cooking for these people which was centralizing and then immigrating out. The cooks generally had been the immigrants as well, escapees and so. And so I knew the window from the back there. I said, can I get something to eat? And I said, right, if it's anything finished, you will get it. But I was waiting, I mean, serving was finished for other people. So he said, pass me something, I can give you some food. Well, I had nothing, of course, I was not prepared, I did not think of it at the time. And so I see there can of some jam or whatever was that, and I pull a bit of the grass, I wipe the can, pass it to them, and I give it to me, and I remember how I enjoyed it at the time. And then I thought, what do I do next? And there was the blackberries, and I go on, and I thought, well, I will be eating blackberries, but I did not realize that when eating blackberries, you squeeze them with your tongue, and they got certain acids, and if you eat a lot of blackberries, and today and tomorrow and day after, they will take your skin in the mouth, and that was hurting very, very badly. And so I had to stop on that, and then I see I tried some, the time was fruit season as well, and there was something like apricot pits or stones, and I pick those ones and put them in the pocket, and I go elsewhere, take the stone, break them up, but it was the fruit which was fresh, that was not dried up, and then I start to feel dizzy. And I don't know, most likely it was some type of poison in these pips, and in the center of that stones, and or could be heat or whatever is it, but I do not feel good at all, so I had to stop that. Then I hearing that there was somewhere the Red Cross, not the Red Cross, actually hospital, or what, and which taking from you the blood, and you get a little of the money. It might be all right, but when you're so weak. But anyway, I go there, and they took my blood and give me a little of the money. Then I did go and bought myself half of the bread for that money, piece of bacon, and bottle of the milk. Bottle of milk I drank that day, but the bread and the bacon I had it for the next day as well. Maybe a little left for the third day. But it was finished then. So then I hearing there is some Arabs where the nuns, and that nuns give some soup. And so I find, and I go there, and again once a day, which was in the evening, we did go, and I'd get a nice big plate of thick soup. It was beautiful. However, I was very lucky then, and I find a job to do the cleaning camp myself. And when I got a job to cleaning the camp, I got a job and I got a little money. I knew which rooms occasionally was empty, and I slept in those rooms which was empty and moved from place to place. And then I saved a little of the money. And when I saved a little of the money, and then I should go, which was actually about 5 months since I escaped. And I had very little of it, and because when we was running, when we with my friends was running from Czech Republic and go over gullies and hills and so on, we could a little backpack, and so it was mainly your socks, bit of underpants, bit of underwear, and very minor few things which you had. So I just bought me more of that, and I had very little left. I said, now, well, I will go on the boat. I will go on the boat with nothing, with no money. So that's what was it. It was as a boy when I was going to the schools, there was Hitler, and he certainly would not teach us nothing about the geography, about in the world. All we had to learn what he passed to be learned. And so I did not learn by the, while Hitler was there and when Stalin was there, not many things did change. Even if I tried to find the books, it was hard to find them and learn too. And so I mainly, after I escaped, I did start to, which country do I go? I was able to go to USA, to Canada, to New Zealand, and to the Australia. And I was going to say which country do I take, because I knew that will be my new home for the rest of my life. So it's a big decision to make. Now, and why did I choose the Australia? Because of course I had the time to study then which country was where. I knew the country was big. I knew there's a lot of sheep. I knew there was some not very good land in central of the Australia, but was a lot of good land, a lot of good green pastures and a lot of water. around Australia, and I started hearing very little about the Tasmania. And then I did look at it. This is new country, this is young country, and young country must offer lots of opportunities. And I prefer to go into Australia for that reason, because I felt that this offers the opportunities, and one day I like to start my own business, and I felt that this will be the easier than to go into the USA or some other countries. And well, that's about why I choose to come to Australia. Well, the boat, it was called Hellenic Prince, and that boat was not very good at all. It was actually last trip which she was going to make, and after that she gone into the scrap metal. And I remember she always was leaning to one side, and so it was not that good. And I myself remember, you know, there was something like 200 or 250 people, maybe more even, in one room. There was 3 banks, 1, 2, 3 on top of each other. There was not women, of course, in the same room. They had separate quarters, even if you was married. That still was separated, which was right. And so that was all sleeping quarters, so it was just jammed in, and so you could not live there. Of course, you just sleep there. And eating was not that wonderful either. However, we all of us had to work or do some, not all of us, most of us had to do certain days, perhaps all of us had to do some work for certain days, and I was working several days myself in the kitchen, and I was scraping the potatoes for I think 1,100 people at the time, which was on the boat. And then, as I said previously, before I left the Europe, going on this boat, I spent all my money on my clothing, and I took proudly I will go on the boat with no money at all. Well, it was not a very good idea, because as much as you get a breakfast, and you get something to eat at midday, something in the evening, but if you want during the in-between, which everyone else did, and want to buy a bit of the fruit or some juice or some drinking, even some alcohol or whatever is it, some of the people did, well, I could not have now sweets, now chocolates, now fruit, now nothing, because I had no money. If I wanted, if I'm thirsty, I could have the water, that was all right, but it was it. So it was not very best trip, but we was ready, and mentally we was prepared, or I was prepared mentally, that on the hard and tough times, and that's make me very easy to overcome these hard times. Well, when we arrived in Australia, we did go near the Albury. There's Bonegilla camp, and in this Bonegilla camp there was some employment office. And sometimes I tell you where you have to go, sometimes you have got a chance to apply for the job. There was written there is a Ralton cement factory, as well producing the asbestos, and they offer overtime. Well, I was thinking that if I go in some quite small place, I will be able to work hard and get some overtime, get perhaps some spare time job, and save some money to be mobile and to be able to buy the clothing or whatever and have the start. If I go to big city, I might enjoy it too much on the evenings, nights, weekends, whatever is that, and might drag me or put me on different track. It was not where I want to go. I wanted to consolidate, save money to get mobile, and dress myself, and learn English. That was my goal at the time. That was my step to how to achieve it. Well, Ralton, again, it's very quiet, very small place, and not much doing up there at all. But as I said, if you set the goals and you want the steps to it, that you one day want to start a business or whatever is it, you got much easier to live through the hard times while you're working step by step. So in the Ralton, I was put into working in the asbestos sheeting, where I was doing asbestos, You hear a lot about the asbestos now, but I certainly didn't have no troubles at all with my health from the asbestos, and I was working there 1 full year in it. No at all. And more to it, there was, on the arrival up there, we did had it, well, on the boat I met actually friend and so on. He gone with me to the Elito, and so we gone together, and we did got one hut which was fully asbestos, inside, outside asbestos, and that hut had a little fireplace which was really through good old housey chimney there, and which was only corrugated iron from the asbestos hut. In summer it was so hot that you hardly could sleep. In the winter it was so cold that if you had a glass of the water there, then be icy. We did not have no water at all in the huts. We had to go and get at it in the central place, and so on. And so it was a little difficult. However, it was a very good place for me to start, because this starting with making overtime and part-time job, this was suited to me, and learned some English, which worked for me. I was over eager to start a business. I was here only 2 years. I saved up for transport and clothing. Then I had 270 pounds, and I thought I'm ready to start business with 270 pounds. So I hired a little room behind the butcher shop somewhere. I started to make small goods as I'm now in the business. Well, my English not good, my money not enough, so I last only about 3 months. Also my products was easy to sell. However, it lasted about 3 months. I was finished. I paid most of my debts then, and the rest of them I had to pay, or I did pay them within about 6 months. And after 6 months I was completely free of all the debts. So then I started to work hard again and got married. And 1957 I started a second business. My wife was working with me then, and she supported me. Was working extremely hard, very, very long hours, yeah. And but I had quite a bit of the experience, because after I finished Elito, between then and now 1957, I had this European experience. Then I did gain quite a lot of the Australian experience too, and it was all right in the small goods, ham and bacon, and some specialty of the meats preparing and so on. But you just cannot do it only what you done. You have to employ the people, and I choose to employ the Australian people because I had a butcher shop, and that's where I was weak. And for Australian style, how to cut rumps and T-bones and so on, which is specialty for the Australian people. So I wanted to have some Australian butcher to look with me after the butcher shop. But it was very difficult at the time. At the time in 1950s, not so now. These days it's okay. However, at that time in 1950s, you was vogue, and you was new, and you was not wanted at the time. Also, Australia had, I think, about 9.7 million people, but a lot of people thought it was about enough. We should not have this new Australians here. They worked. So they did not want to work for you. You had to do something more for them, and of course, first thing was more money, and then you pussyfoot with them, look after them, and finally when they start to work for you, I was very happy, and I was very happy and start, and I had more and more people, because as I grew, I had to employ so much, that was as much as 500 people. It was now very lighter, but at the time of start it was a big worry. It was called vogue, and so. Well, at the time when I started small goods, making as well as in butcher shops, I was lucky because I did recognize that I cannot come here and to produce the continental small goods and expect them that Australian people will love them. And so I did go. I find Australian palate was more softer, more mellow. I don't like much seasonings or different seasonings. They did not like garlic at that time. Today I quite enjoy it. At the time I did not. And so I sort of choose in between, and that was my greatest success, that I was able to balance it with the Australians and enhance it betterly with the continental experience. And I did make as well continental, strictly continental small goods, which are much more different seasonings. Some garlics, okay, has got most of them at the time, and they're chunkier meats and different type of meats. And so some of them was continental and some was Australian, and this Australian small goods was sort of enhanced by continental small little changes and so on. And so I would say this is the majorly different seasonings and chunkier meat and smoked. Australian did not smoke much at the time. So, well, I think that I was successful because I stick with the trade which I knew from my childhood, which was meat game. I think I was successful that I was working very, very hard and have a very supporting the wife and understanding the wife. Usually something suffer when you're growing up and it's the family, because you're putting so much time to the job, into the work. I think I'm very determined. I could set up my determination, but when you determine where you go and how you want to do it, you have to balance it off, determination against the stubbornness, because you not always achieve your determination immediately, so you try again, but one day perhaps you have to stop, because then you could become stubborn. I think I was further successful because whenever I want to achieve anything, I work the goal, where I want to go, and that goal is something that's achievable. A lot of people send some silly goal, impossible, but you set up the goal which is achievable. And that goal, again, people say, I have got goal, but I'm missing most important things. What are the steps, how do you get there? And those steps you will have to follow and work hard for it. And get the people, don't be afraid to ask from the people. And when you do all of that things, and I think there's still lots of opportunities here in Australia, lots of opportunities. But you have to set those basic things which I just mentioned. And if you do set them up and work with it, then you still got to chance and very much of it to get there succeeded. And then I personally myself succeeded that on the basis that I wanted always give the value for the money, right type of service, keep contact with the customer, and try to speak user. For example, when I was exporting meats, and I meet with the Japanese people and end users. It was so simple, so easy. I was able to tell to me that how can I improve it? What can I do better for them? How to cut it different? How to trim it different, the meat? And how to select it? And then for selections, they give me bigger, better money. And it was the much easier, it would be a lot long, hard route if I took easy way out and sell it to agent to another agent, and then come to end user, and I would lose the contact. And with end user like that, then you are fast. And I would say here in the Tasmania, when I'm looking at the about 7 small goods factories, there was 6 export works. And it was far too many for a small state like this. And as economy are getting harder at you, you have to rationalize. And this happened here in Tasmania. So from this 6 export works here in the Tasmania, 4 of them had to finish and gone. And I started with now customer, now supplier, now stock, now debtors, now buildings, now plant equipment, and I had to building all this up, and I still was able to survive. But it was this, as I said earlier, setting up the goals, have determination, look after customer. And so with the small goods was the same. again, there was the 7 of them, as I mentioned. They're, I think, the major players here now. My company with Blue Ribbon Meat Products, it grew to be far bigger business, which employed over people, and it was 78 million over. And was not easy, you know, but it was very much achievable, and it was the business while again in the small and bike and others was not able to stand through this rationalization and final finish on the 3 players. You know, you have got a lot of friends there, school friends, or from your young age. Certainly you got there people from my family, parents, they're not there now, but I was there. Originally when I'd come there, I was not able to see no one from the family for first 20 years when I escaped. It's only after 20 years when they allow my parents to visit me at the time. And it's a different country which I love it and like it. However, when I escape, I settle in here. I love it in here, I enjoy it in here. And I like to go back occasionally, once in 2, 3, 4 years, and see, perhaps even White Christmas was good for me to see again, for my child, to see the White Christmas. And I like to go there and meet up with my friends and family and see different countries, yes. But I still love it most in here because it's my new home. That's why I'm staying.
A vibrant story of dreams that unfold through dedication and art so bright. He built his path, turning darkness to light. In every bottle, a story told of resilience and dreams so bold. The vineyard whispers his tale of might, a legacy shining ever so bright. In every brushstroke, his story is seen, a journey of hope where he once had been. The legacy of Chromy and colors displayed reflects the heart of a determined man. Oh.